So let's say you have a wonderful design and you've figured out how you want to do it. You've got your flat pattern all drafted, you've added your seam allowance, you've checked and double checked, and everything is ready to go. Before you cut that fashion fabric, there's one final step you've got to do, and that's called truing your pattern. Truing your pattern basically means that any two edges that are going to touch on separate pieces, making sure that these edges are the same length. Truing is really important because, especially with more complicated designs, when you're doing one pattern alteration after another, there's always a little bit of error built into each alteration you do, no matter how precise you are. So it's a good idea before you actually cut anything out, to just do one final check and make sure that all of your seams are the same length. I'm going to true this princess seam by laying one piece on top of the other and lining them up at the shoulder line. Now, as you can see, I've marked my stitch line on the back of this pattern piece for easy truing. I'm just going to put my pencil down where the two pieces start to curve away from each other. Then I'm going to pivot the pattern until they line up and move my pencil and continue pivoting and moving this way until I reach the bottom of the pattern piece. Okay. And then I'm going to note whether they line up at the bottom or whether there's a little bit of slippage. In my case, this side front piece was about 1/16 of an inch longer than the center front piece. Since this error is so small, I might actually go ahead and run my truing again just to be sure that I didn't make a mistake when I was truing. But if I still come up with that 1/16 of an inch difference, I can just snip it off and ease it into the rest of the piece. If I was off by more like 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch, I would want to split that difference between the two pieces. Another good location to true is the side seam. Once again, lay the two pieces one on top of the other and just check that they're the same length. You'll probably also want to check that your underarm seams are true with each other. And this is pretty simple to do as well. This one is looking pretty good. This sleeve pattern is for a sleeve with a flared flounce at the bottom, and I'm going to also true up my flounce line to my sleeve line because with all this slashing and spreading, that's another great place for error to get introduced. I'm going to just actually do it like this. Lay them one on top of the other so that I can see both pieces, and once again use my pencil to walk the piece along the seam line. And when I get to the center, I'm just going to pivot like this and go back down the other side. And it looks like I'm true. It's also a good idea to true any collars you might be working with. Collars are notoriously slippery and difficult to get right, so truing is a great way to just double check yourself before you cut into your fashion fabric. I'm going to prep my two yoke pieces for truing along the neckline by taping them together at the shoulder seam. Removable tape is great for this. I've prepped my yoke pieces by taping them together at the shoulder seam. Now I'm going to just flip my collar over. Again, I've marked my seam line on the back just so I can see it better. Then I'm going to match my collar to my back yoke and begin walking it around the neckline. And I'm going to just use my finger here and okay. Yep, and I folded back my collar to make sure that it ended at the center front fold. So it looks like this is true as well, but again, if it was a little bit too long or too short, I would just make a note of that on the pattern and then adjust accordingly. Probably I'd adjust the collar though, not the neckline in this case. Truing your patterns does take some extra time and energy. However, I hope you'll find, as I did, that the finished result is well worth the effort.